You can see how this can impact a long term financial plan. Charlie Munger says the first rule of compounding is to never interrupt it unnecessarily. But how do you not interrupt a money plan, careers, investments, spending, budgeting, whatever, when what you want out of life changes? It's hard. Part of the reason people like Ronald Reid, the wealthy janitor we met earlier in the book, and Warren Buffett became so successful is because they kept doing the same thing for decades on end, letting compounding run wild. But many of us evolve so much over a lifetime that we don't want to keep doing the same thing for decades on end, or anything close to it. So rather than 180 something year lifespan, our money has perhaps 4 distinct 20-year blocks. I know young people who purposefully live austere lives with little income and they are perfectly happy with it. Then there are those who work their tails off to pay for a life of luxury and they're perfectly happy with that. Both have risks, the former risks being unprepared to raise a family or fund retirement. The latter risks regret that you spent your youth and healthy years in a cubicle. There is no easy solution to this problem. Tell a 5-year-old boy he should be a lawyer instead of a tractor driver, and he will disagree with every cell in his body. But there are two things to keep in mind when making what you think are long-term decisions. We should avoid the extreme ends of financial planning. Assuming you will be happy with a very low income or choosing to work endless hours in pursuit of a high one increases the odds that you'll one day find yourself at a point of regret. The fuel of the end of history illusion is that people adapt to most circumstances. So, the benefits of an extreme plan, the simplicity of having hardly anything, or the thrill of having almost everything, wear off. But the downsides of those extremes, not being able to afford retirement or looking back at a life spent devoted to chasing dollars, become enduring regrets. Regrets are especially painful when you abandon a previous plan and feel like you have to run in the other direction twice as fast to make up for lost time. Compounding works best when you can give a plan years or decades to grow. This is true for not only savings but careers and relationships. Endurance is key. And when you consider our tendency to change who we are over time, balancing at every point in your life becomes a strategy to avoid future regret and encourage endurance. Aiming at every point in your working life to have moderate annual savings, moderate free time, no more than a moderate commute, and at least moderate time with your family increases the odds of being able to stick with a plan and avoid regret than if any one of those things fall to the extreme sides of the spectrum. We should also come to accept the reality of changing our minds. Some of the most miserable workers I've met are people who stay loyal to a career only because it's the field they picked when deciding on a college major at age 18. When you accept the end of history illusion, you realize that the odds of picking a job when you're not old enough to drink, that you will still enjoy when you're old enough to qualify for social security, are low. The trick is to accept the reality of change and move on as soon as possible. Jason Zweig, the Wall Street Journal investment columnist, worked with psychologist Daniel Kahneman on writing Kahneman's book Thinking, Fast and Slow. Zweig once told a story about a personality quirk of Kahneman's that served him well. Nothing amazed me more than his ability to detonate what we had just done. Zweig wrote, he and Kahneman could work endlessly on a chapter, but the next thing you know, Kahneman sends a version so utterly transformed that it is unrecognizable. It begins differently, it ends differently, it incorporates anecdotes and evidence you never would have thought of. It draws on research that you've never heard of. When I asked Danny how he could start again as if he had never written an earlier draft, Zweig continued, he said the words of never forgotten, I have no sunk costs. Sunk costs, anchoring decisions to past efforts that can't be refunded, are a devil in a world where people change over time. They make our future selves prisoners to our past, different selves. It's the equivalent of a stranger making major life decisions for you, embracing the idea that financial goals made when you were a different person should be abandoned without mercy versus put on life support and dragged on can be a good strategy to minimize future regret. The quicker it's done, the sooner you can get back to compounding. Next, let's talk about compounding's price of admission.